Good afternoon. This is the video newsletter for Buy Sell Short for Sunday, November 28th. We're going to start off today looking at the Dow 15-minute chart. As you can see, over the last week, we've been sort of chopping around in this 200-point level. They again tried to break us down below the 11K mark on Friday, but it was unsuccessful. We've had the Irish/European debt issue overhanging the market over the last couple of weeks. It looks like that finally has come to fruition. We've got a deal on the table, supposedly $113 billion bailout of the Irish banks, and that should be a catalyst for us going into tomorrow. We'll have to see how the dollar acts in overnight trading. But looking at the charts as well, aside from that news, we were looking at a positive open on Monday, irregardless, in my opinion. Late Friday, we had a golden cross on the Dow 15-minute chart. That is when the 50-day moving average crosses up through the 200-day moving average. Typically a bullish event, and typically we see about 150-point upside on average over the next day or two after the cross. We did have a cross a few days ago that failed to materialize, although, looking back at it, it barely crossed. I mean, I think it crossed by 1 point, and then we had that big sell off. So, we could sort of throw that to the sideline. We're 15 points above on this golden cross, and also looking at the daily chart, you can see we're about to get a positive MACD cross. And if you've been watching these videos for the last several months, you'll know that typically going into a Monday morning, when we have the MACD set up like this, we usually see a pop on the open on Monday. Now, if we follow our typical average gain on a golden cross, we'd be looking for a move up through this downward resistance line to the 11,250 to 11,300 area. The indicators on the 15-minute chart also are supportive of a bounce tomorrow. Looking at the daily chart, here on the daily chart, you can see what has formed is essentially a rectangle formation. Typically, breaks on a rectangle formation usually are to the upside, and usually are pretty powerful moves. As you can see here, over the last week or so, actually over the last 2 weeks, we've been consolidating in this 200-point range, and it's been compressing between the 50-day moving average as support and the 20-day exponential as resistance. Breakout confirmation would be 11,200, and if we get that break of 11,200, we could be looking at a retest of the highs here over the next few days. RSI has sort of based out here. We've got stochastics not yet confirming a bottom, but hinting that we possibly have one in store. SMH, which is what we've been keying off recently. Right here, we're looking at a 3-year chart on the SMH, and the reason I bring that up, in the video on Sunday, I mentioned that 31.31 was the breakout on the SMH, and if you're so inclined, you could jump into a scalp position on that. And if you did that, you're up 45, almost 50 cents, which is not a bad little scalp here on the SMH. Reason I'm bringing up this chart, next resistance level is 32.26 on the SMH. And also, one thing to take from this chart as well, this is a multi-year chart. Rarely look at multi-year charts just because they're so choppy, but it's to give us a roadmap going into next year. We've got a possible, you can look at any chart. Let me just step back and come up with whatever way you think it looks. That's one of the beauties of technical analysis. The action is in what you think it's going to be. If we take a look at here, we've got a 9-month left shoulder. We've got a 1.5 year right shoulder, which really, is not technically an inverse head and shoulder. And then we have the head here. So we've got the one shoulder, two shoulders, head here, inverse head and shoulders, breakout $32. If we do get that breakout, we'd be looking at 36 to 38. That's the only reason I bring this chart up. Possibilities for next year. Back to the daily view on the chart here, you can see the breakout. If this breakout is indeed, and if we're going to see the market go on a little near-term move here, we'd want to see that 31.29 breakout level of last week. That happened on Wednesday. Hold. US dollar, of course, has been on a little rally mode thanks to the issues in Europe. I highly doubt we're going to get above that 200-day moving average at 81.74, so I think upside could be limited here. We kind of saw similar action back here in August and September before we went on that sustained rally, and we're getting up in the nosebleed on some of the indicators. RSI is pushing up there, stochastics also pretty high, so this could be the confirmation for at least, a Santa rally starting here very, very soon, hopefully this week. Into stock plays. URG was a really nice scalp for the chat room a few days ago. Continued breakout on very strong action in its sector on Friday. All the players were up big. URRE, URZ, etc., etc. URG is trading right at that $2 level, and you remember we've got sector momentum, and then we've got that strategy where a break on 2 stock sees 210, 215 90% of the time. So we're playing that here. Stops, you could probably use a $1.85, maybe even $1.80, just because this is a very volatile sector, but we have volume on the breakout, and we should see this one gap up on move to the 210 plus area is what I'm looking for tomorrow. NEI. We usually don't have a video go by, at least over the last couple of months, where we don't mention this stock. I love the setup here. I should be pounding the table. Actually, let me know. We've been doing pretty well when I pound the table on stocks. We're about to get a positive MACD cross on NEI. Last time we had a positive MACD cross was back in August. And remember, the indices are setting up like they did in August and September as well. We had a big sell-off, consolidation, kaboom. And again, this is a stock that likes to go on 20 to 30 cent moves. It's a range-bound stock for now. And we've consolidated nicely from that earnings sell-off, surprise EPS, and of course the stock got punished because traders don't like earnings. They don't like good news. They like crap with no fundamentals, and that's what moves in this market. So I think this one, the next break over $1.50, and we could finally see that move to the 200-day moving average up there in the twos. TRID, nice little run over the last week. Like a lot of stocks on Friday's shortened session, sort of got, crimped by the low volume. I would expect this uptrend to continue tomorrow on a push through $2, and we're looking for 210 plus as a first target on this one. Cognizant, CNXT, nice sell-off after earnings, been consolidating nicely down here. Breakout confirmation would be a move through the 20-day exponential at 144, and we'd be looking for a move to that 50-day moving average, 157. If you jumped into this one, 135 stops, positive MACD cross, which has been working very nicely lately. So we keep a very close eye on this one this week. Quick mention on Mad Cats, hit our 80-cent target on the nose for almost 100% gain from our entries back in October. Little consolidation late in the day on Friday. Holiday play. Next target on this one is $1 plus. IKAN actually looked really, really well on Friday, and then going into the close just got slapped around like a lot of stocks, but we're about to get a positive MACD cross on ICANN. Really, it lights up once it gets over that 50-day moving average there at 114. If you're still in this one, stops at $1. And, this is the kind of chart like NEI and TRID that should do very, very well if we do see another upward move in the market. And one thing I've noticed over the last couple of days, we're starting to see a lot of money come into these beaten down tech stocks over the last couple of weeks, and these likely will lead us on this next stage of the rally. So that's why we're looking at a lot of these beat up plays. Fuel Cell, FCEL, we got a fat move on this one before. It's consolidating after a nice little sell-off. We keep a very close eye on this one. Back to the uptrend support line. 125 is probably the breakout on this one where you would look to add. Stops if you're playing it would be 119. All the indicators, especially stochastics, have bottomed out. Buy confirmation will be when you see this one tick back up through the 20 level, but definitely keep a pretty close eye on this one. These are a couple of stocks to keep an eye on if we do get the bounce we're expecting in the market early this week. Another one to look at, NTWK, was a huge mover from September into November. Posted really decent earnings report. It's been consolidating here over the last week or so RSI has flattened out and starting to move upward. We're about to get a positive MACD cross. The big sell-off from the $2 level was on much lower volume, which is typically what you want to see on these momentum stocks when they sell off, and stochastics hopping around in the basement. Ideally, we're probably looking at being a little conservative on this one and would get interested in it if it got above the 20-day exponential at 150, and then your stops that you would place on that entry would be 138, 140, depending on your tolerance. Xoma, XOMA, little devil stock, but popped up on my little scanner here. Nice bottomed action on this one. They're probably going to need cash just by looking at the earnings report from a couple of weeks ago. So a little pop so the financiers can short into it could be coming soon. This is a stock that pretty much trades and has over the last year or so below its 20-day exponential. If it got above that level, if it got above 250, I'd get interested. You'd be looking at 10% upside to that 50-day moving average. All the indicators are oversold here, so just another stock to stick on your radar. Personally, don't really like Xoma, just the way it trades, and it's a diluting machine, but the chart says we got to keep an eye on this one going into this week. BGP, this was one of our plays on holiday sales. Got a nice little pop for us on Wednesday, and then the lows here on this chart for Friday really kind of bogus. One of those robots went after the stock, traded at $1.03. The only one who got filled at $1.03 was the robot. Real low was 106. Would not be looking to get into this play unless it broke the 20-day exponential at 115. And if it did get above that, you'd be looking at 10% upside. So that's the reason we're going to keep an eye on this one. And we're about to get a positive MACD cross. So if we get a nice little press release saying they did well on their holiday sales this weekend, definitely a nice little play on that. So that's it for the video today. We're looking for some upside momentum tomorrow, and then we'll play it by ear then, depending on how strong the breakout is. And if volume comes in, we've got some nice setup plays going into tomorrow. NEI, TRID, URG, etc. And if we see money really start to move into this market and the beginnings of what hopefully will be a nice Santa rally into year end, be a lot more plays. So that's it for the video. Any questions, shoot me an email or just send me an instant message in the chat room, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.